Right, hey, welcome back fellow YouTubers. You've obviously seen the video we've uploaded about how to remove a tow bar. Well, this time we're going to focus on how to put a tow bar on. So first thing we're going to do is remove the outside light. So we just grab the trim from behind, give it a tug, off it comes, and then up in the top corner here, put my finger on it, is a spring-loaded screw with a 10mm bolt. Just undo that. The light itself is held on in place, so it won't come out. Okay, so you don't need to worry about it dropping out. This one's actually in quite tight. So just withdraw that. Then get the light, give it a jiggle and a wiggle. Okay, you might need to remove this trim piece there. Pull the light out, and then if you see here, just remove that from in there. Press down, release, put safe to one side, and I'll just show you how. I won't show you on camera how to take this out, but just undo that trim panel and do the same to the other side. Okay, so now we just move down to the side of the car. There is a 10mm bolt just here, and we need to remove the wiring from the parking sensor if your car is so equipped. So what you do, just grab hold of the trim and just pull it. Okay, and then in the back here, just the same as you might have seen on some of the mud flaps videos, just need to lift these two sensors up, these two tangs up from the sensor, push it in, and that's the wiring free. And then don't worry if you've got any of these clips retained under there. Use a trim removal tool or a pair of flatbed pliers, pop them out and put them back in the slots. And then all we need to do now is undo this 10mm nut here, and that's this side free for the moment, and we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so we've just removed the bumper, as we've said, on the side here, the fixings. What we need to do now is to remove this nut here. Now, if you don't have mud flaps and it's a newer car, you might have two nuts. Okay, on this one there's only one showing. You need to use either a right-angled Allen key type screwdriver or a bit connected to a ratchet, and you simply undo it. Okay, if you haven't got this type of tool, then I'm afraid the only way to get these out will probably be to take the wheel off. So we'll take this off, do the same on the other side, and then there's one final screw that we need to remove, which is this one here. So we'll do that, and we'll do the same, all the same steps we've just done there on the other side. We'll do that off camera, and then we'll come back to you. So we've undone those two bolts, and then this panel here should just pull / slide down, removing these tangs that are up there. And then the next step will be to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts from here. That will release the rear of the under tray. So we'll do that now off camera and then come back to you. So we've just removed all of those screws now, and that's the bumper separated from the under tray at the back. Before we move down to the side, you'll see the outline here. Okay, there's a groove. Now, depending on the type of tow bar you've got, the manufacturer will tell you to cut out various sizes to allow the tow bar to move, swing, whatever it's got to do. This is where I differ from the instructions, as you'll have seen on my remover video, because I don't want to cut this, because at some point I will sell the car and I will keep the tow bar. I'm not going to put this under tray shield back on, so therefore I'm not going to be cutting anything, and I'm not going to be showing you how to do it. If you do need to do it, it's plastic. Take your time, mark it up, use a jigsaw, cut it, and then make sure you chamfer the edges off, but I'm not going to show that. What we're going to do now is we're just going to move down to the side of the car here, and there are another 2 bolts here on each side, which I'm going to go ahead and remove, and then I'll come back to you. So now that all those screws are out, I've done the same on the other side. This bumper is only held in place by the locating groove here and on the opposite side. So what you do is you get hold of the bumper like this, you just pull it, and you can see that this piece here goes into this little slot, and there's a couple of retaining lugs on there, and it holds it in place. So you just gently prise it back like that, and then in this corner all you now do is, once you've done the same on the other side, is just pop this screw out. As you can see, it brings the bumper with it. That is now loose, and we just need to do the same on the other side, and then we can pull the bumper off. Okay, so that's the whole bumper loosened off now. Now what you do is, you might have a bit of jiggering to get it off. Okay, just spin it round and you will see, okay, that this is now held in place by the wiring here for the parking system. Just release the tang by lifting this up, separate the two apart, and that'll be that released, and I'll do that off camera because I'm running out of hands. Okay, so this is a brand new 2017 car, and this car is fitted with this stuff here, and what this is the foot sensor for the automatic boot. So you may or may not have that. I didn't have that on my last car, but what they've done is, I don't know whether this is a new clip for all models or just because it's with this, they've revised the clip. The previous one you just push down and pull the two bits apart. With this one you've got this locking tang, and what you've got to do is you've got to lift it up and take this out, and then that frees this to bend down and you can pull it apart. But you might need an assistant for that one on these 2017 model cars. It's nowhere near as simple as the previous one was. But that's the bumper removed, and what we're going to do now is we're going to remove this crash member and some of the stuff that goes behind it, so we can put the main bar behind me here in behind it. What I suggest you do is you remove, this is part of the rear crash sensor, okay, remove the wiring for that now. It'll be a lot easier when you come to take the bar off. So there's three things you need to do. One is to pull this out. You might have to jiggle that around a bit with a pair of pliers. Secondly, this is held just black nasty taped onto this little plastic support, so just get a little knife, cut that to release this, and then here is the wiring connector. There's a little push-up tab underneath, and you just pull it out. That'll make that much easier because you can then take that bar away. Now on each side, here, here and here, and on the opposite side, there, there and there, are 15mm nuts holding, bolts I should say, holding this on. So I'm going to, off camera, take those out now, okay, and we'll take this bar off. That's the only thing that holds it on, and then we'll come back to you in a minute. So that's the last of those bolts off, and then this now should just lift off. You might have to find that this locating bit is stuck over there into that hole there. You might just have to lift this up. So the next job now is to lower the exhaust system down. That will allow us to take this under tray out and get some better access. Now you need to make sure, of course, that the exhaust isn't hot when you do this, because it can obviously get very hot. This exhaust is nice and cold. Now I've done this slightly out of order. You may wish to do this earlier in the unbuild process, but I've deliberately done it so I can get some light in and show you the nuts that now need to come off. So just up here, okay, there's a 10mm nut. There's one on the other side. You need to remove those two nuts, lower this down, support the bottom of the silencer here with a trolley jack, and then once those two nuts are out, just lower this back down and put a normal support on there, probably about that much off the ground, okay, about 15 centimeters, 6 inches off the ground, with a suitable piece of wood, and then that allow us access to get this under tray out, because there's a few bolts that hold it on here above the heat shield. So as you can see, we just lower that down, having removed the two nuts. The exhaust isn't very heavy at all. Okay, you can lift it without any problem. It's just easy if you've got a jack to take the weight down. And if I show you on here, what you've removed is this bit there. There's a bolt here, and that's a 10mm bolt, and that just bolts up into that gap we showed you a minute ago. Just lower those two down on each side, and then we're good to remove the following bolts. Now I'll just point out to you what you've got to remove whilst we're down here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10mm nuts that hold up this heat shield. As they hold up the heat shield, they simultaneously hold up the rest of this underguard. One word of warning: when you undo this, sometimes this aluminium sort of heat shield thing produces a few rough edges there. Whatever you do, don't run your fingers over it, okay? You'll get a really deep cut, so just be careful when you do that, more so when you're putting it back. So I'm going to take this out now. Carefully lower that down is to lift this out. If you are going to cut out for your tow bar, then this will be in the area that you'll do it, depending on what your manufacturer says. Personally, I'm not going to use this part again now. This is going to go in my cellar. So the next thing we've got to do, the final bit of unbuilding, if you like, is to remove this receptacle here, and this is where the towing recovery eye goes in. Now underneath here are 2 large bolts. I am pretty sure that they are 90mm, but I'll come back to you and let you know if it's something different. But we'll take those out now, and then that will conclude part 1, which will be the unbuilding.